Welcome, chemistry students and parents for Anacortes High School. My name is Cody Anderson, and I'm going to walk you through the chemistry syllabus to kind of help you out and let you know what your expectations are, what the year is going to be looking like. First things first, my email address is on this slide, canderson@asd103.org. Also, my phone number, 360-503-1361. Email is absolutely the best way to try to get a hold of me. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please email me. I am usually very good about responding in a timely manner. Just be aware that there is another Cody Anderson in the district. I believe he's a middle school student right now. And if you just type in Cody Anderson, if you have a in-district email account, you might end up with his. So make sure that the email address ends in asd103.org. First off, chemistry is a two-semester course. The course is all year long, and this is generally seen as an elective class, which means that chemistry is not normally seen as a graduation requirement. This is a course for people planning on going off to a university, doing something with science later in the future, or not, but generally university-bound students. This does mean that this is a difficult class just because we are looking for university-bound students here, and I'm going to be expecting not college level work, but teaching college strategies to be successful at that level. Also, one of the things that kind of comes up in chemistry is that first semester chemistry is really about teaching the very basics, the fundamentals. I like to think of it as teaching the language and vocabulary of chemistry, whereas second semester starts dealing with some really interesting chemistry itself. So what we're doing in first semester will carry on to second semester. So you can't just wipe your memory clean at the end of each chapter and call it good. Um, Everything's going to continue on one semester to another. For our textbook, you should have a textbook that you got during Fee and Photo Day. You will need the textbook. Please keep it at home. Um, we have a classroom set here in my room, so do not bring your textbook to class. Leave it at home. I have ones here that you can use. We will be using the textbook pretty frequently. I am not a big fan of telling the students to just sit down and read a certain section. But for homework problems, examples, it's pretty good. Grading. Being here in Anacortes High School, we use the standard Anacortes High School grading scheme. Please, please, please check student or family access frequently. If you see a 0 in the gradebook, that means something that is either not turned in or it was turned in without a name on it. Um, if you see a blank for something, that is not affecting your grade. So just keep that in mind when dealing with student or family access. Now, the grade breakdown here I want to talk about. Your notebook itself, this is where you're taking notes. So I'm going to be grading you on, are you doing the components of your notes that's required? That's 10% of your grade. Homeworks, labs, assignments, that's basically things that you are doing in support of the class is worth 15% of your grade. So a relatively small amount. And the reason for this is that I feel that the student's grade should be based upon what they can demonstrate. How much chemistry can they demonstrate to me? Unfortunately, homework is a terrible way to demonstrate how much chemistry you know, because it could be that they're copying it out of the book. It could be answers gotten from a friend, could be Googled. Homework rarely tells me how much the student knows. Homework is good for practice. Students who are doing the right thing, sure, it would tell me that. Uh, but I can't guarantee that. So that's why homework is a relatively low percentage. The biggest chunk of the grade is what I call opportunities. Some people may call those tests. I prefer to think of them as opportunities, though. People have test anxiety. Nobody really has opportunity anxiety, so it's much nicer. 75% of your grade. This really means that studying for these opportunities is a necessity. Um, very few people can really be successful in this class without studying for these opportunities, prepping for them. Luckily, we will be doing a multi-day review before each opportunity. I think I mentioned this later, but I'll mention it now as well, that students are allowed a half page of notes, handwritten, for the opportunities. So you really want to take those seriously because that's where your grade is coming from. Simply with attendance, show up. Um, if you miss a day with an excused absence, you can make up the work within 1 week of your return. If you have an unexcused absence, too bad. So really need to make sure that if you are gone for a legitimate reason, that absence gets excused. Um, this is really bad if you have an unexcused absence the day of an opportunity because you're out of luck. You can't make it up. Also be careful because the school board has a policy that if you have more than 10 days absent, I believe that's for the entire year, excused or not, all absences are unexcused without a doctor's note. So that can really hit a slippery point there. Now, if you do miss a day, makeup time is always going to be before or after school, but all of my notes are on my school website. Like the video that I'm narrating now, I'm also going to have voice narration for every chapter. So if you miss a day, go through the notes. Do not just copy down the notes from a friend because what they view what is important might not be what you will need as important. So if you miss a day, the notes are on the website. They will be on the website before you miss the day. I try to have it up well in advance, so take advantage of that. And I just talked about this. What do you do if you're absent? Check the website. On my school website, go to the Anacortes High School website, look for staff. My name's at the top. There's a website link right there. And there'll be a link for chemistry or AP chemistry, but this is for chemistry. All my PowerPoints are there. My voice narrated PowerPoints will be there. There's also going to be a link to YouTube where I'm posting videos of my PowerPoints, same as the voice narration. My homework is going to be on my website. If you are gone, go to the website. If you are gone, that's going to be the first thing that I'm going to tell you to do is, did you look at the website? Because that's where everything is done. Participation. I will call on people randomly throughout the year using what I call sticks of destiny, which are really just popsicle sticks with your name on it. If I call on you, I expect you to provide a thoughtful answer. It doesn't need to be correct, but I expect thoughtfulness. It is more important for me to know what your thinking is on this than you have the right answer. Having the wrong answer just tells me we need to go over this again. We need to approach this from a different direction. Refusing to answer is very unacceptable. If you just refuse to answer, refuse, that will become a disciplinary action under non-compliance. So really save yourself the trouble. If I call on you, give me an answer. It's pretty painless. And my general feeling on like reading, playing on your cell phone, things like that. If you finish with the day's activities, your time is yours. But if you haven't finished with what needs to get done, then you need to finish what needs to get done. Labs. We will do labs. Sadly, I don't do as many labs as I probably should, but we will do labs. I will be passing out a lab safety contract that needs to be completed and signed and turned back into me before you can participate in the lab. I am very picky about goggles. If we are working with anything more dangerous than lukewarm water, you'll have goggles on your eyes the whole time or I will kick you out of the lab because I don't want your safety to be impacted. Now, as a note, you do not need a separate lab notebook. I know for some of the prior science classes you do not need a separate lab notebook for this course. Now, labs and cheating. This is probably where the most common, well-intentioned cheating comes in. So if we're doing a lab, you're working in groups. Sharing data is part of the lab. Everyone in that group should have the same data because that's what you observed. But part of each lab is analyzing the data. It's drawing conclusions from it. It's doing calculations with it. If you're just copying what someone else is doing for that, that's cheating. And um, so really any part of the lab that's done with another student besides just the data is considered cheating, and that means that all students involved will get a 0 on that assignment at the very least. Speaking of cheating, academic honesty. So very, very important. So first off, what's cheating? Simplest way of cheating is copying someone's work, copying homework, copying stuff off the opportunity, copying labs. Most people are aware that that's cheating. It might fall under the well-intentioned thought of we were working together. I was just checking my answer. No, it's cheating. Leaking information to students. So if you are in first period and we have an opportunity and you tell other people what's on the opportunity, that's leaking information. That's cheating. Both the person who leaked and received the leaked information, if it's found out, will be penalized under the cheating policy. And of course, looking at other students' work or answer, again, copying during an opportunity, obviously cheating. What are the consequences of cheating? I use just this basic school policy. First issue is you get a 0 on it, and it goes in as a warning. Second, a 0. It now gets reported to universities that you were caught cheating. So that looks really, really bad. And third time you get a 0 for the class as a note, or an F for the class. This is cumulative through all 4 years of high school. So if you had one instance of cheating your freshman year and a second instance your junior year, it's now going to be reported to universities. So it's really just best to err on the side of caution and do your own work. Homework. To be blunt, if you cannot regularly complete homework, chemistry is not the class for you. Year after year, I can easily see students who are successful versus unsuccessful. Unsuccessful students in chemistry, every time, every student who is unsuccessful in this course doesn't do their homework. Just doesn't get done. Now, have we had successful students who don't do homework? Yes, but it's much more rare. So if you are not capable uh, due to whatever reason, maturity or schedule or whatnot, that you can't complete about 15 minutes of homework a night, the chemistry is not the class for you. I'll be very blunt about that. You will likely not be successful. Now, homework will always be due at the start of the period. It's going to be kept in your digital notebook. Everything this year will be in your digital notebook using OneNote, using the laptop that's provided to you. The notebook is going to be your notes. It's going to be your homework. Those are always going to be due the day of the opportunity. And if your homework is not complete, you lose 50% of the credit immediately when it's due. Now, I want to stress here, complete means complete. Complete does not mean almost complete. It doesn't mean complete except for that one problem I didn't do. It doesn't mean complete except for that one thing that I say I can't do. I need to see work and effort on every single problem. That's what it means to be complete. That's what gets you full credit on your homework. Now, even more with homework. In your notebook, which is provided, that's again the digital notebook using OneNote, you must log every assignment. When graded, you will receive points only for the assignments you have logged. I want to repeat this. If you do not log the points of your assignment, you will not get credit for it. Your homework log is you telling me this is what I want credit for. If you don't log it, you don't want credit for it. Early in the year, for the first few chapters, because this is kind of different, I will offer amnesty and let people log homework they have forgotten. Moving into second semester and the end of first semester, I will not be that kind. So that is just some thoughtfulness and mindfulness that you need to take into consideration. So digital interactive notebooks. So I've mentioned a notebook a few times through here. It's digital, it's on your device, it's using Microsoft OneNote. I have a template and a file that I'll be sending out to each and every student. Um, works both offline and online. So the nice thing about this is if you're bring your laptop to school, it saves a copy of that in your notebook. Then let's say you go home and you don't have Wi-Fi, you can still do everything that you need to. And as soon as you reconnect back to a network like at school, everything's uploaded to the cloud. So lack of internet at home, not an issue. Homework is going to be done in this notebook. Your notes are done in this notebook. Everything is done in this notebook, and it's going to be the day of the opportunity. That means that it needs to be done when you take the opportunity. That's it. Now, speaking of opportunities, at the end of each unit, we will have one. This is going to be roughly every 2, maybe 3 weeks. Some units are longer than others. I think the longest unit we have is 5 weeks, but I stretch it out just out of kindness. Um, every opportunity, you will be allowed, with one exception, you'll be allowed half a page of handwritten notes. Um, and when we get to the chapter that you are not allowed notes on, I will let you know when we get there. The reason I don't allow notes on that one chapter is it's a lot of memorization. And if you have notes, it kind of defeats the purpose of making you memorize things. Speaking of notes, the notes in your interactive notebook will be in the Cornell note style. Cornell notes, I think, get kind of a bad reputation. To be completely honest, when I was first introduced to them, I thought they were kind of silly. Um, but when I started thinking about what's going on with notes, they make a lot more sense. Basically, notes should be useful. I don't think anyone will argue with that. Also, the more times you work with information, the more likely you are to remember it. That's the whole point of the Cornell note system, is forcing you to interact with the information multiple times. Biggest pieces of it is that you'll take notes as normal. Again, this is a digital note taking that we're going to be doing this year. So you'll be typing out your notes. There's going to be a summary of the day's information. A summary is not just a list of what you've learned. We're actually going to do this through what's called a screencast. So as a student, you'll be actually making a short video and embedding it into your notes of your summary. And you must generate 2 level 2 or level 3 questions per section, and I'll pass out information on that once the school year begins. Basically, a level 2 or level 3 question is something that can't be answered with a yes or a no, or a one word answer. If you're just looking for a definition, that's a level 1 question. We're not looking for that. Level 2 is comparing and contrasting. It's explaining why things work a certain way. It's what we would normally view as kind of better or more robust questions. Extra help. I do not want you to be confused. Do not be okay with being confused. I want to help you. During class is the best time. If I say something that doesn't make sense, call me out on it right then. That is the best way to do it. But if you don't want to, after school works great. I'm here till about 2:40 every day. Stop in, get some help. Don't go home confused. If you do go home confused, stop in before school. I'm usually here around 6:45 in the morning. Stop in, get the help. Also, and I've mentioned this before, I think, all of my notes are available on the school website. Not just the normal PowerPoint, but also a video PowerPoint like the one that you're looking at now. And if you miss something, if something that makes sense in class, go check that out. Maybe you wrote something down wrong. Maybe you missed something. Everything's there. Classroom guidelines, we're going to have to abide by all the school rules and regulations because we're in the school. Biggest one is no food or drink except for water in a resealable container. Um, yeah, I'm going to be mean about that. If you want to leave the classroom, you must, I'll give you some paper hall passes. You'll have to have me sign one of those. That kind of limits how much you're gone. And take the physical hall pass that lets people know that you're not wandering the hallways willy-nilly. No hoods, headphones in class, except for when you're done. If you want to have your hood up in class when you're done with your work, great. If you want to have headphones in your ear when you're done with your work, great. But during class time, not going to happen. Materials. What should you bring to class every day? Bring a writing utensil. Here I say pen or pencil. I don't really care. This is actually not as important this year. because we're doing so much digitally. Bring a calculator. Yes, there are online calculators. Most of them are pretty terrible. If you already have a fancy graphing calculator, that's great. You don't need anything better. Um, to be honest, if you don't have a calculator, the TI-30X2S, I know that's a long name, is a fantastic calculator for chemistry. It's cheap. I think it's $11 on Amazon. Works great, does everything we want to do in chemistry really easily. Highly recommended. If you do not have a calculator, please get one, have one that you're used to, that you're using all year long. That is a great one. You may need some colored pencils or crayons from home, and of course your laptop. Uh, your laptop is what you're going to be taking notes in pretty much every day. That is going to be your biggest tool, so make sure you bring it, make sure it's charged. This is going to be new this year. It's going to be a bit of a transition, but if you remember to charge it, bring it every day, it's going to be okay. Extra credit. I will periodically throughout the year give extra credit. I will offer it to everyone at once. I will never give individual extra credit. What do I mean by that? I will, if you come to me at the end of the semester and say, Mr. Anderson, I really need to bring my grade up. Is there any extra credit I can do? The answer will always be no. I will never assign an individual person extra credit. If you want extra credit, do it as I offer it. And again, I will offer it periodically throughout the year. If you want to do the extra credit, great. If you don't want to, it's your choice.